Hello and welcome again to our Street Soccer United podcast with me, Keith Mabbott, founder and CEO of the Street Soccer Foundation. And on today's show, I am really pleased to welcome Catherine Thompson, founder and director of the Unique Boutique. Catherine, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. So I want to start things off actually with going back to when you were a teenager, if I may. Just really interested to know kind of what you were like. What was you like as an individual growing up?
So, what was I like as a teenager? Well, I lived in a little village just outside of Rochester, and my standout memory is that from the age of about 12 up until I was 20, I had my own horse. So, I was quite active and outgoing and sporty. That's changed quite a bit now. But yes, so I was very fulfilled and busy riding and show jumping and out at events with my horse. So, I was very, very lucky.
Show jumping, wow. Well, what about your 20s? I mean, did you sort of know what you wanted to truly do as you were progressing with your life and what you were getting up to? Did you always know that you wanted to own a salon, for example?
Back in my 20s, I spent a lot of time trying to work out what I would like to do. At the time, I was working in London as a PA, which I did enjoy, but it wasn't like my burning desire. And I kept trying to think of what I might like to do. I never really got round to it until I was in my mid 40s, really.
So initially being a PA, I mean, that's quite a change, isn't it? I mean, being a personal assistant to someone or some people, to now basically being your own boss yourself and driving your own days. I think, what was it? I think it was back in 2017 when you formed Unique Boutique. So tell us how it all came about.
So back in 2017, my children were starting to grow up, getting towards the end of primary school age. I was starting to wonder what I was going to do with myself because once they didn't need me, I'd be sort of redundant. And like I said, I'd always been wanting to do something of my own. Fortunately, at the time, I had a friend who was interested in doing a similar sort of thing. And between us, we decided we would train in permanent makeup and start up the business. And what's been really great about it for me is that I actually really like working with people. So it's turned out to be the best thing I could have done.
That's so good to hear. Now, what about your biggest challenges you've ever had to face whilst running your own business, and kind of how have you managed them? How have you come through that? Because I know running a business can be very tough at some times. Of course, it's a real roller coaster, isn't it? Typically, you have lots of highs and lows, and you need a fair bit of resilience, being able to bounce back and come back from disappointment. And it's something that we really teach well throughout the academy program of street soccer and also the schools program. So I'm just really interested here, for the benefit of our listeners and particularly the young people that might be tuning into this, what that in itself, what's the biggest challenges you've had to face and how you've come through them?
I would say the biggest challenge that I have found personally is trying to get continuity, trying to get people through the door on a regular basis. And that is really why I started doing the networking, because I needed to get our name out there so that people knew we were around and people would get to know us and know that they could trust us. It's quite surprising how many clients come in and it's taken them quite a bit of courage to come through the door. So I'm starting to get a reputation with the Unique Boutique for being friendly and professional and welcoming, so people feel comfortable coming in, and that's really how I've got over the difficulties of it.
I think that's right. I mean, for any business, I think repeat business is really, really important. And I know there's a lot of emphasis on winning new business and going after that new client or customer. But also, it's once you've won a new account, once you've got a new customer, once you've got a new client, you should be really thinking seriously about what systems and processes you have in place to be able to look after them, to nurture that relationship. Because I think right now, in this time that we're all faced with, I think a real thing that's come through is this kind of relationship marketing, to reach out to those that are in your business network, and like you say, being friendly and professional at the same time. I mean, that naturally will help drive that continuity, like you talk about, and that's obviously what's really, really important for any business. You want people to keep coming back and using your service, and maybe buying your product. So, all credit to you, Catherine. Now, again, networking, what you touched upon, that's obviously how we met, isn't it? You and I. So why do you invest in it so much, and what do you really get out of doing it?
So, like I said about getting our name out there, getting my name out there with the Unique Boutique, networking was really what did it for me. And alongside that, I have made many, many connections who have turned out to be good business partners and also some friends too. And within that, I have gained some business. I've learned a lot. I've picked up tips on how to do various different things, not just stuff to do with beauty, but things like running a business, for example, the background stuff that goes on that people don't see.
It's another great point, isn't it? Networking. The beauty of networking is that, often you gain new customers, but first you gain new friends. And I think that's the key thing. Again, you're typically going into a situation where people will buy people. I know it's a real kind of basic phrase and heard often and a lot, but it really rings true. You're trying to appeal to different individuals and personalities and characteristics. And I think, if you've got a real valued kind of proposition, you've got a great service or product, like you say there, Catherine, you strike a relationship, you nurture that, you get to know what people are doing, how maybe you can help them as well. And through that, they'll take an interest in what you're about and what you do. And come the time, whether that's, immediately of the moment, or maybe, a month down the line, 2 months, 6 months down the line, I think that's what you should really be really focused on. And you've touched upon it. So, customers, I think it starts with those becoming friends, or at least friendly. And then they can then naturally convert as and when the time is appropriate. So again, great advice. But what about also those out there listening in who might want to set up their own salon, or even business in general, but sticking to what how would you kind of advise anyone that's thinking about doing it?
I would say you've got to love your business. You've got to live, breathe, and sleep your business. You've got to stick to what you're good at and outsource what you're not so good at. Might seem like an expensive option, but in the long run, after you've wasted loads of time trying to do something you're no good at, you actually are better off getting someone who knows what they're doing, who can do it in half the time.
Absolutely. Like you say, just to echo that, love your business. I think that's it. You've really got to be passionate about what you're doing. And ideally, I mean, certainly I would say from my point of view, have that real purpose as well, Catherine, wouldn't you say, having that why statement about why you do what you do each day. I think that's really, really important. So certainly you need to be passionate. You need to love what you do every day, because that really adds to that driving force that you need to see through each working day and give it your best, and that's what the business needs. Any business needs the best version of you as an individual. And also, like you say, stick to what you're good at and outsource what you're not. That's brilliant advice. I mean, again, talking from my own personal experience, I'm very, very fortunate that through the foundation's endeavour, I have an incredible team who are all leaders in their own fields, and they're amazing people. I love them all to bits, and everyone gets our why, and that's what's our glue. We want to help other people and make a difference, and thankfully I guess the foundation serves as a vehicle in that. So again, it's lovely advice, and it really resonates with me, Catherine, and I hope it does for listeners in. But coming to now the end, I mean, already it's flown by, but today's Street Soccer United podcast interview, we wrap it by offering a final question, which we always ask everyone. What would you say is the best advice you've ever been given, Catherine, and who by?
Best bit of advice I was given was from Ash Lawrence, the Flip Flop Psycho, when I did his Millionaire Mindset course last year and into this year. Was to do a daily plan of action. So each day I get up and I plan out what I'm going to do, what I'm going to achieve. And as I'm going along, I tick those actions off and get a sense of achievement for one. And also you get more done.
Brilliant, Catherine. Thank you so much for that. And also mentioning Ash Lawrence. I mean, Ash, as you know, is obviously, very much involved with the Street Soccer Foundation. He's a wonderful asset and valued member of our team, and obviously the head mindset coach that we have. And it's great because a lot of his teachings, will draw upon for the benefit of the content of our academy programs, that then obviously affects positive change in young people across the country now. So it's solid advice, having a daily plan, daily actions, what you're going to do, what you're going to achieve. And like you say, tick them off as you go. And it makes you feel good, doesn't it? It makes you feel awesome throughout the day. You've got your goals, your micro goals, if you like. each and every one that you tick off, it's a sense of satisfaction come the end of the day. What a lovely opportunity there to sit back and reflect on what you've achieved. And then you go again, have it as a routine, have it as a habitual exercise that each and every day, you're doing that same activity, because then you really are going to see documented and achieved progress. So wonderful advice. Thank you so much. And listen, it's been brilliant speaking with you, Catherine. You're a wonderful, lovely supporter of street soccer. We greatly appreciate, what you do and how you help us and getting involved in whatever you can do with us and for us. So thank you so much. Today, you've listened to the wonderful Catherine Thompson, founder and director of The Unique Boutique. Be sure to check them out, and also check us out next week. We'll be back next Friday with our next podcast interview.